is TWiP. So speaking of positivity, this first image I'm going to bring up here, you put in just recently. Tell me what the deal is with this shot.
This is actually ice. We talked about this a little bit last week, so I just want to put this in there and, get everybody to see it. This is ice that I froze. It's about 3 inches thick. This is a little tiny bit of bubbles that grew inside the ice on top of a penny. I put a copper penny in there. And so there's always these amazing macro opportunities inside of ice. I just love it. So, and I lit it to kind of create more contrast and stuff in there. So yeah, it's just really fun. You don't know it's ice, but it is. So
yeah, and like I said before we got cut off on the YouTube stream, this looks alien to me. It looks wholly alien, like you're walking around in a thick mist on Venus, right? It's a thick sulfuric mist, and you accidentally stepped on something that's soft, and these things sprout up, and now they're looking for food. Yeah, it's crazy. Good shot, man. Good shot. What happened to our flaming ice ball, our ice cube? I thought you were gonna do that.
It's in the general non-critique. I didn't want to put it in the critique to take up time or in the feed, but it's in there. There's ice and fire in there.
Got it. Cool. And that little, just to draw a circle around that little micro story I told about your image here. let me put it back on us real quick. So that is intentional, that the way my brain works and sort of draw stories around abstract things or even non-abstract things. I think that's a good way to be thinking about stuff, is like when you're shooting things, even if it's an abstract, to kind of think of it in terms of a narrative or a story, or that thing that you're shooting as a character in an overall larger play or even a larger cinematic universe. It just kind of fits in there. So even if it's not articulated, it could be articulated in the form of video or a short story or something, the written word. But even if it's not, in your head, like if I was creating this image in my head, I absolutely would have been thinking that, right? Even if I never told anybody that, I would have been thinking that. So yeah, just an idea, just to kind of gamify your photography in some ways, where if you create either a fictional or a non-fictional world around stuff and then put characters in it, whether it's portraiture or fashion or compositing or landscape or whatever, you can play. You have the ability to create your own worlds and live in them.
Yeah, and if you don't do that, then it's just data. It's just data on a screen or on a picture, right? Like that's how we relate to everything. So that's good advice. Yep, definitely do that.
Cool. All right, enough of Venus. Let's move on to James Glennie. Gingerbearding says, nothing like a cold night walk on a quiet, snowy path to clear your head and make you feel alive. Yeah. When was the last time you did that, Troy Miller?
Thanksgiving. I was in Mammoth.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, there you go. Very nice.
Yeah, it was really cold. It was fun. We had a little bit of snow, and it was great, and I miss it. I miss it a lot. I don't know that I could put up with heavy snow like this, like heavy winters, but scenes like this, to me, they're just so beautiful. And this leads to that story that you're talking about, because I want to know what's around that corner, what's around that bend. I also want to drive my truck through this or ride a snowmobile down there, but I also appreciate there's no image. You're not sharing the image, buddy.
Oh crap, why are we not showing an image? God, what the heck is going on? Like,
I'm literally the image on my screen,
and that was another user error. See, it's me. It is 100% me. It is not the software. I'm gonna take the L on this one. All right, let's there we go. How's that?
There we go.
How's that? Yeah. For the love of that is.
I appreciate the fact that this is probably really quiet. And I love, one of my favorite sounds in the whole world is the sound of crunching snow. I love that sound. I actually recorded it the last time that we were in Mammoth, just for like a minute walking through the snow. I just love that sound. So to me, this is a very enticing. And I love the fact that it's in black and white. It becomes very classic and timeless. So yeah. Really wonderful image.
Yeah, this reminds me of Chicago when we lived in Illinois, and there's a bike path behind our house when I was growing up, and it looked like this. You know, this is obviously not in the city. This is in the suburbs. But it looked very much like this. And right after a snow, my brother and I would go out there because you know how when right after a fresh snow, the entire landscape looks alien, right? And it's all different. And so we'd go out there and pretend like, you know, we were exploring new planets. So, again, with the planet exploration, I don't know what's going on.
Oh no. I love it. I like the muted tones that are in here. My first intention is to want to really create more contrast and pop. But then again, that's not what this scene is. It's a quiet, subtle, you know, a whisper of a space. And I love that. So it's great.
The low bass guy in the chat says he's grabbing tinfoil and bare electrified wire to keep the stream going. Yeah, it's about like that, man. It's about like that. I'm telling you, simplification. So what any final thoughts on the shot before we move on?
Oh no, I love it. Great job. Yep. Just the way it is. Beautiful. Good job.
Beautiful. Idyllic and cold, says Jim Peters. Kai's up next. Kai says, sunrise on the rocks, beautiful soft light breaking through a large block of ice, producing soft diffused shadows on a black sand beach in Iceland. Long exposure. Let's take a look. Look at that. That is ridiculous, Kai. That's gorgeous. Yeah. That is gorgeous. That is exquisite.
Yeah. This speaks a lot to a number of things that I think work really well in images, and one that I think you and I both would agree we love, and that's simplicity. We know exactly what the subject is, focus, light, depth within the image, foreground, middle ground, background. We know exactly what that is. There's not a lot of distractions. The highlights and shadows are controlled exceptionally well. Even seeing it on a TWiP stream, it's held up really, really well. Mm-hmm. So I want to touch it. I want to feel the surface of that ice. I just dig that. I could spend an hour or a day just photographing this hunk of ice. Yeah, this is fantastic.
That is really nice. And I love the way he's captured the light shining through it to highlight it. It definitely looks surreal, but it looks really cool. Makes you want to stare at it. Right. Makes me wonder how big it is, how small it is, how far it is from the water, you know, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I think compositionally, this is exceptionally well done with composition. We have the horizon on the upper third. We have our subject matter on the lower left third. We have a secondary object or something on the lower right corner to kind of just get our secondary attention. And our eyes stay within the frame the entire time. The edges are slightly darkened. You know, the sunlight draws us in. Like, there's so much going on that's keeping us within the image. The subject matter is fantastic. Mm-hmm. But this could have been handled terribly, and then it wouldn't have nearly the same amount of interest, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of kudos to Kai for how he handled this image and processed it and delivered it. It's really nice. This would look amazing large.
This wants to be large, right? This wants to be huge on a wall with a big black frame around it. You know, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I could see this on acrylic. Yeah, this would be amazing.
Yeah, love it. Very cool. All right, moving right along. Next up is Stephen Scharf. He says, cold tree in Yosemite, also known as Yosemite for you non-California people.
Yeah.
Look at that. How about that? High. This is an exercise in high contrast. When I saw this, I thought high contrast because of the tree bark, or the trunk and the branches, and then against the stark white sky. But then really it's an exercise in high contrast and midtones, because we've got all three in here, right?
Exactly. And I'm willing to bet, knowing Stephen Scharf, that there's detail in that snow. Probably not in the sky, but probably in the snow. And that would be my only critique, is that if there's no detail in the snow, we should have detail. Even though snow is white, there's detail there, and we need to work really hard at keeping that detail. But I'm betting there's detail there, because I know Steven's a stickler on that.
Yeah.
But I love the simplicity of the composition. I love the fact that the tree, the big tree, the subject, has this dark trunk that stands out from the rest, and we get depth because of that, the atmosphere is causing depth between the trees in the back because they're softer contrast. So exceptionally well done. I really enjoy this.
I also like the aspect ratio of this guy. It's not square, it's slightly tall. I like that because that says vertical to me.
Right. I might crop this tighter. We don't bring it almost to the bottom of the trunk on the bottom, really tight on the top, really just bring us into the tree. the left, we can't really see the branches disappearing into the other pair of pine trees back there. So really just tighten it up. So what we focus on is more of the trunk and the patterns of the trunk itself as they sort of branch out and move up.
Yeah, Steven says, there are some weeds in the snow, but no detail. I did take out the mountains of Yosemite that were barely visible in the fog. Cool.
Yeah, very cool. Nice.
Yeah, I like it. Again, another shot that could easily be printed big and look amazing. I'd almost want to see this particular one. I don't know. No, this would probably stand alone just fine. I was going to say a triptych or a set of irregularly sized images, like maybe this one's the hero and then two smaller subordinate images. But yeah, even alone, this is nice. But a set, it would be much more expensive, Stephen Scharf.
Yes.
So very cool. Good work, man. Thank you for sharing that. All right. Next up is Eric Pronsky. He says, image taken on a morning hike after a snowstorm in the San Juan Mountains. Look through these branches as snow is melting off the trees. Shot with his Sony NEX. Look at that.
Yeah, that's really wonderful. I like the warm tones of the tree and the dead leaves, and then the blue, the shadow blue in the back as it's backlighting this sort of snowfall. It at first in the thumbnail, I thought it was a waterfall.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that it's snow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking at this and where I want to know. I struggle because I look at the whole thing and it looks great, but then my brain goes to looking at it in layers, right? And what's the subject? Is the subject these branches that are framing the falling snow? Is the subject the falling snow, or is the subject the mountains and the strata in the background way back there? Or conversely, does it matter, right? Is the whole thing together like a salad, right? It's you don't say, oh, what's the hero of this salad? The tomatoes. No, I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think in an image like this, I mean, we have so much depth of field that it would have been nice to have the shot of the shallower depth of field so that the foreground and the background were soft and the snow itself were to have more of a pop. Right now, it's really, the image itself is flat because we really don't have any depth. There's no lighting that really is giving us a lot of depth. There's no sharpness or depth of field that's holding us there. And like what you said, it's like, what is our subject, right? Obviously, it's the snow, which is handled really well, by the way. The highlights and stuff in that snow is good. But I think shallower depth of field would have really drawn out that subject matter.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I think so too. Cool shot though. Very cool. All right. Moving on down to Raphael Timber Geek Swift. He says, cold winter is coming. You guys say that in a English Game of Thrones accent. Winter is coming. My old school response to winter's cold sandwich between the 400K LED lights of the kitchen and the incandescent lights of the living room. Shot with a Nikon D850. Is it me, or am I seeing more and more Nikons lately?
I think you're seeing more and more Nikons. Don't know why. Not sorry about it.
I know. I see a lot of McDonald's too. Just saying.
Yeah. Just not on the stream. Not in the community, you don't.
Exactly. Cool. All right. So what do you think of this? It's the opposite of cold, right? It's keeping cold away. So it's in the topic.
No, it is, and I love the subject matter, and it really makes me want feel cozy and kind of can smell that wood smell and kind of the burning that heat that you can smell coming off of the heater, of the wood stove. My thing is we have two color palettes happening, or two colors, lighting colors, and maybe that's intentional to leave it that way, but we've got that blue window light, shade light on the left, and then we've got the warm light, as mentioned, on the right. And I really think that if this whole thing had the same color treatment, warm, it would feel much more cozy. Right now, I'm a little confused by the lighting.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I think if the whole image were skewing towards cold, or the colder, bluer ish cyan values, and then the fire, obviously, and things illuminated by the fire were the contrast, the warm and the oranges. So it would speak more that there's heat coming out of this, and it's, the heat is driving the coldness away, so it just sort of leaning into it. Maybe even use Photoshop to make that fire more brilliant, maybe coming out of that wrought iron more or something. But
yeah, I just think that the color, the lighting, the lighting matters in the image and how we read it and what's our emotional reaction to it. So if I block the left side of the image, it feels very cozy because I can only see the right. It feels very cozy and warm and inviting. And if I block the right side of the image and only look at the left, it feels kind of cold.
yeah.
And what kind of story do you want to tell in this image? Neither one is right or better than the other. It's just when you split them like this, we get confusing signals.
Yeah.
So
yeah, even subliminally.
Try them both ways and see. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. And Timber Geek, I'm wondering, is this in your house? Because if so, we gotta have a little TWiP meetup up there where, that is a whiskey sipping stove right there, hanging out around it sipping whiskey. I dig it.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right. Next up is Armando. He says, now it's summertime. It's great to have the very best beer. Yeah, let's take a look. All right, now I'm curious. I want your thoughts on this. I'm curious because now he's pushing the border of borders on this one, and you are the king of borders.
I like this style of presentation. I really do, because it makes you, the viewer, absolutely know the container that the creator wants you to look in. I mean, this is the image. I want you to look at the image. Here it is. There's nothing else touching the edge, nothing else distracting. So I think it's a creative choice. I like it. I like it. Not for every image, but I definitely like it. So
yeah,
and the image is great.
Yeah. This is interesting. So when I look at it, and I'm thinking, again, I don't know why my brain goes to the what's the hero of the image thing, when in this case the entire thing is the hero of the image. It's the story the artist is trying to convey is cold beer in a bucket, right? And that's what we see. Although this could be any beverage that's served in a can, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be beer. So, yeah, interesting. I may have, as I look at it, I may have punched in closer. I don't know that we need all of this, we know it's a border, or we know this stuff is in a bucket by virtue of the curvature of it and what's in it. So I don't think we need to be literal about the bucket. I'd be more interested to have it tight on the cans surrounded by ice, with a little bit of the curvature showing on the edges, so that it just gives me a hint that this is in some kind of circular metallic container, which would probably be a bucket. But as we get closer, then these, my brain doesn't have to think, oh, those are those kind of, crescent ice cubes in there. And I don't have to think. I want it to be more literal in my face versus, or less literal in my face. These are beverages in a bucket with ice, and take me into the ice, make me cold. So I like it.
Right. Yeah. No, I agree. And if we don't do any of that, burn down the left side of the table under the bucket to match the right. I understand the light's coming from that way, and that's all well and good, but we don't need the light on the table. So,
yeah, there you go. You tell him, Troy.
Yeah, get in there.
Get in there. All right.
Get in there. Light your cans.
Yeah. All right. Next up is Mark Charette. He says, snapshot of Charlie's last cold Canadian winter, looking down the trail, but little did he know it would lead to Australia. What else are you writing here? Oh, you wrote a lot, Mark. So if you guys want to read that, go into the post. Let's go and look at the image.
Yeah. Fun shot. That dog wants to go. He's like, let me off the leash. I gotta go. I want to go. He sees something that, to me, in this image, that dog is the hero of this, and I wish that there was more light in the dog's face and less so on the people, because the intensity of that dog, like, he doesn't care the camera's there, that there's another human there. He sees something he wants to go after.
That guy's gonna bolt. I know. He's got a fix and target lock. His finger is hovering above the launch button. He just needs to go.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a fun shot though, for sure. And like Mark says in his write up, this is one of those photos that having an accompanying narrative definitely helps with.
Right.
Because if we were just to be thumbing through a pile of pictures and came across this one with no sort of context, it wouldn't be as strong as if we know that this was kind of a seminal point in the life adventure that is the Charette clan over there.
Right, exactly. Yeah, fun shot.
Very cool. All right. Thank you, Mark Charette. Moving right along to Lamb. Lamb says this is his entry for cold. Cold is often associated with ice and snow. The majority of submissions show these two elements one or another. However, I have a different interpretation. Let's take a look.
Yeah. Tuning up the air conditioner.
Charge.
Not everybody would know that. And, that's a challenge with topics, right? That not a lot of people would know that that's Freon and that, you're servicing the air conditioning system. So, but it's on its own. Yeah, it needs a narrative, right? Yeah. These are just like we were talking about at the top of the show, even if it's a fictional narrative, just words or some kind of context to go along with an image helps a ton. If it's not like an insanely strong image and needs context, like Kai's image, right? I don't think that could probably benefit with a little story about how he got that shot and how he was feeling and the challenges. That would have added another dimension to it. But I think that shot is strong enough to stand on its own. A shot like this, which is more photojournalistic and that has, esoteric things in there that not every person's going to know what they are or didn't even know that you could recharge an air conditioning system in a car with Freon. Then this just kind of looks like a guy fixing a car. So it needs the context to kind of put it in place. Absolutely. I mean, and it's a great documentary shot too. I mean, it's clear they're working, and you've got good composition elements going on in here. So yeah.
Yep. Very nice. Have you ever recharged your Freon in your car, in your truck?
Oh yeah. I used to do all that. Yep.
Cool. What do you mean used to do? What happened?
Well, I used to own a speed shop, so I used to build hot rods, and I used to do air conditioning and stuff in there as well. I had all the AC pumps and everything to evacuate the system. But
yeah, I do that too. I just do it indirectly. I do it through purchasing an extended warranty, and then I drop it off. Same end, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's not cold. Make it cold.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, can you fix this real quick? Thank you. All right, Lamb, thank you for that shot. All right, next up is Karen Sweeney. Karen says, cold critique. Backlit young beech tree adorned with crisp snow after dawn in my local park. Yet another lockdown photo shot with your Nikon D850 with a Sigma 105. Handheld. All right, let's take a look.
Yeah, I love this. I love the color palette and the tone. I do wish the luminance of the leaves were brought up a little bit. I feel like it's a little flat. It's a little dark. You know, there could be more glow, if you will, you know, so grabbing that color range and bringing the exposure up just a tad. But I love the simplicity.
Yeah, this feels like almost like a it feels like a greeting card type image where this is the outside of the card and you open it up and it's like, you know, it's about leaves. Maybe the saying inside of the card is, please don't leave me.
Be like a leaf and leave.
Exactly. or leave me alone.
Yeah.
It's been nice, but we got to talk. Leave me alone. Would you say in the chat? You said in the chat you have always wanted to play with nitrogen. Really? Why?
Yeah. Well, because it's awesome.
Crack your knuckles. That's what that sound is when you crack your knuckles. That's nitrogen.
I want nitrogen, man. There's so many cool things I could freeze and photograph and then light it on fire after that. I want nitrogen.
Yeah. That's a t-shirt. All right. Yeah. Ginger Bearding says liquid nitrogen. Who are you people? Liquid nitrogen is so much fun. What? Okay.
It's the opposite of fire, right? Like you drop a rose petal, you stick it in liquid nitrogen, and then you drop it on the ground, it explodes. It just explodes in a million pieces. Like I love that. Yeah. So Love Base Cases. Now we're on another list.
Yes. Yes, you are. We were on all lists in this community.
Yeah.
All right. Very cool. Whoops. Why do I keep clicking?
Good job, Karen. I like that.
Yep. Thank you, Karen. Nora Zanotinus is up next. She says, biting cold. The swirling winds made the stinging snow crystals hard to avoid. Yeah. We've been there. Oof.
Wow.
That does not look like it feels good. That's when the tips of your fingers are going. Can't feel anything. Every little opening in your jacket is letting cold in. You know.
He doesn't seem to be as bothered by it though, right? Like he's his jacket's open a little bit. He doesn't have a beanie on. He doesn't have a scarf wrapped around his face like I would be.
Yeah. I'd have a snowsuit on.
I do love this image. I think that it's really fantastic and really storytelling. And the fact that the little particles of ice or snow are in focus in front of his face, other areas too, but that's really wonderful so that we can see that. And then of course his expression, and Nora's handled the highlights and shadows exceptionally well. I love the crop.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, this is great. This would be a fantastic ad for, you know, a photo excursion or the tripod company or the clothing company, or you know, just anything. I mean, it's got a lot of really positive elements to it. I really like it.
Yeah.
I only wish there was a little more light in his face. Just bring it up a little bit more. I feel like the right half of the image behind him is really drawing my attention away.
Yeah. Does this make you want to go there?
No, I don't like the cold. No.
Is that's why you live in Southern California?
Yeah, my family all lives in Northeast Indiana, and so I love cold when I can leave it.
Yes.
I couldn't live in it. Yeah, I couldn't do that.
I say the same thing about Chicago, man. You know, I love having the option to leave when you're living there and shoveling the driveway, you know, and the sidewalk. It's not fun.
And I also don't have the experience or the skill to function in the cold, right? I don't have the equipment. I don't understand it like I do, you know, my environment here. So it's different.
Yeah, it's different.
But I love that shot. Yeah,
this is cool. Done, I agree with you on popping the face out of there a little bit too. Which would be, you know, not that you could do it in pretty much any image editing tool, but in Luminar AI, it has that AI slider that automatically targets the face, and you just drag it up a couple of notches, and it works surprisingly well just to bring the values up in the face a couple of levels without looking ridiculous. So Lots of ways to skin a cat.
Right.
All right. And that was Nora, right? Thank you, Nora. All right. Next up is Ernest. And Ernest says, World Ice Carving Championships. This one was from a few years ago, stood around 6 feet. This is a lot harder to make than ice cubes. And it's transparent, right? Look at that.
Wow.
How do you get that kind of perfect ice? Look at that. Look at that ponytail.
Same way. Yeah. Wow.
How is that ponytail even suspended? How is that not falling off? That is crazy.
I don't know how you carve it and not break that off, or the feathers. And
I wonder what the technique is. Yeah. Do you make that separately and then fuse it somehow? I wonder.
Well, I don't know. It'd be the rules of ice carving, right? Does it all have to be carved out of one solid block, or can you carve it and attach these things? I don't know. That's really amazing. I'm very intrigued by the background and a lot of stuff that's going on in here. You know, this was lit. There's a light on it, obviously, and it's fun to see the sculpture. But at the same time, I'm looking at the background. Like, is that a ice castle in the back? There's a horse pulling somebody. Where are those mountains?
Which makes it's distracting though, right? From a photographic standpoint, because you viewer have left the intended subject and are wandering around the background asking questions that don't pertain to the subject. You're lost, right? So that stuff back there, I think this, if the subject, the caveat, if in context the mountains in the background and all that's the stuff back there makes sense to the overall story, then keep it. But in a standalone photograph, again, someone's flipping through a random pile of pictures and they come upon the shot, then it should be just about the shot, I think.
Right, and you got to think about every subject, whether it's a mountain or it's a golf ball or a person or an insect. It doesn't matter. You've got to think about your composition, your depth of field, your direction of light, and all of those things play. So in this image, the subject, the ice sculpture, is as in focus or almost as in focus as is the mountain. And so we don't get that separation by that. We have the separation in lighting, but we don't have that separation in depth of field. And of course, the light, is competing, well, not the light, but our subject is competing with the contrast and shapes of the mountain. So definitely gotta move around.
Yeah, I look at this shot and I think of people like you, Troy. I'm like, Troy would probably love lighting this thing on fire and photographing.
Yes.
That would be how to do that. That would be sick. I would love to see that. Kind of like a mini version of an Arctic Burning Man, where you burn ice sculptures to the ground.
Yeah,
very nice.
Cool. That's a lot of skill to make that thing.
Wait, what did he say? Wait, I gotta read this. What did he say? He says, P.S. Polar bear. Oh, this is a recipe for a polar bear. 1 ounce of Jack. What kind of Jack? 1 ounce of Yukon Jack. 3 ice cubes, any kind, 8 ounce glass. Everything in the glass shake up. Okay, all right. We're going to do that. I got to find some. I never heard of Yukon Jack.
Yeah, it's sweet.
Oh, cool. Interesting. All right. Peter Levshin is up next, our 2020 critique winner. He says, Canon 5D3 400mm 2.8 2x French Alps. And yes, it's not a dust speck. It's a hang glider. Oh, this.
I can tell that. Yeah, I can see that.
Let's see.
Nice.
Oh, yeah. That's a hang glider for sure. I like this a lot. I like the dimensionality of this. It just feels 3D. Like it feels almost like one of those shots where if you slightly move to the left or right, you get the parallax kind of effect, the 3D distortion.
Yeah. I think that, in an image like this, the hero really is that hand glider. Everything else is there to support the hand glider. And I think that's really fun in that, you look at this and you think it's just a regular photo of like a mountainside. And then you're like, holy crap, there's a hand glider above the mountain. And I think that's where this image wins. So I always love those little secondary little surprise elements in there. And that's where this hand glider is. and it's a nice composition anyway.
Yeah, I like that. You know, how do you? I was talking to someone over the weekend about photography, and we were talking about the concept of Easter eggs and how, you know, not all, but a lot of other creative fields leave little Easter eggs, even if no one will find them. Like musicians will leave an Easter egg in a song that you didn't know about and would never know about unless they told you. Artists or painters do it. Programmers do it. They do it in the movies, right? Where you're watching some Avengers thing, and then on the shelf in the background is something that only super nerds would know what it is. You know, like that. Right. How come we don't do that in photography? Like these kinds of shots where we leave like our signature "Where's Waldo" thing in every shot we do, and it's kind of our thing, and it distinguishes our work from other people. You ever thought about doing something like that, Troy Miller?
I do. You know, for me, I create images for brides, and I don't know that I can have the effort to hide Easter eggs in a bride's image. But yeah, I think that really the way that our brains consume imagery is that there's this. It's like language. You know, we can kind of hear what people are saying, and we kind of follow along before the next word. We kind of know where they're going. Images are kind of the same thing, and then if you could throw in a surprise. It really sort of perks up our brains and our imagination. I mean, if I'm just talking and then I say hippopotamus, and then but this is really a wonderful image. You're like, what the hell? Why do you say hippopotamus? And now now that word is in your head. That's your treat. That's your Easter egg, right? So if you can do it, definitely find that secondary hook in the image. Call it an Easter egg if you will, but I always see that as a secondary hook, like in Kai's image.
Yeah,
lower right corner. There's a little bit of foam or a rock or something.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, that's interesting though. That's the thing about this field is that it is so we complain about the technology, especially when it fails, but that technology gives us so much freedom to do so much cool stuff like Easter eggs and storytelling and narratives and world building and all that kind of stuff. And depending on how you approach it, like say somebody like Low Bass Guy, like we talked about in that interview, he came at it from the 3D world, right? And then kind of meandered into merging these two worlds together and into something completely new. It's just, there's so many things to do. I think, and part of that is the negative side of that is analysis paralysis. Right, because we always say you got to find your look, what's your genre, and you got to become the best at that thing and all that. But if you like a ton of things, it's hard, right? Like one day, like me, one day I like long exposures. I want to go do some long exposures of the Golden Gate Bridge with the water blurred underneath. And then the next day is I want to go do some drone shots of this thing, and the next day is portraiture, and then the next day is it's on and on and on. So.
That's ADD. That has nothing to do with
it. Totally is. It totally is ADD. Yeah, not being non-committal. That's what it is.
Right.
Alrighty. Thank you, Peter Levshin, for that. Next up is a new member, Thomas Buckhout. Welcome, Thomas. What did Thomas say? Yes. Thomas, I'm not going to read all this, but I'll read a little bit of it. He says, as I quote, Chris, Charlie Sheen from Platoon, the F&G is posting his first picture for constructive criticism on the topic cold. He spent a 2-week vacation in February, March 2017 in Iceland doing the Golden Circle while walking along what is commonly known as Diamond Beach, adjacent to Glacier Lagoon, the unpronounceable national park, Iceland. The light from the sunrise was hitting the piece just the right way, caught my eye, and voila. Look at this Iceland stuff, man. See, again.
Yeah.
Second shot. Look at this. It's like a ghost. It's like an ice ghost.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm sure it's just amazing to see, regardless of photographing, and this image is another one of those images that really draw our attention in and get us to look at something that looks alien, completely alien.
Yeah, it totally does. It totally does. This is cool. Okay, so let's look at it from a couple of perspectives, no pun intended. So looking at this shot, I see a leaning horizon. Do you see that?
I do. Yeah, it's tilted to the right. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that's the obvious. So we'd obviously correct that. What else would you change on this, if anything? So taking the horizon out of it, would you change anything? I love the fact that you captured the sunset. I'm assuming that's sunset, shining through this ice in the foreground. What would you change, if anything?
So anytime that I look at images, or I take my own images, I always wonder, how much of what the photographer is feeling is he trying to communicate in this image? And a lot of times the smell and the sounds and the senses of being there don't translate photographically. So you've got to separate yourself from that. So what's your subject? How do I separate my subject from distracting elements? This is one of those kind of images that there's a lot of elements that are drawing our attention. One, the color saturation is hypersaturated. It feels a little too unnatural to me, especially the blue. So you can leave the sun saturated, because we've seen sunsets that have that kind of warm saturation, but that blue and really isn't as natural. And plus, they're competing with each other. So even if they are,
yeah.
And a little bit of dodging and burning, or even a little bit of a blur layer on the background meaning everything other than the main iceberg, could really, really strengthen this image, because it won't draw us away. Right now, the sunset is the hero, and the little bit of ice is the secondary. And it depends on how you want to see that. You could flip that.
Yeah. There's a lot you could do here. Man, I want to go to this place. I want to and photograph and stuff.
Yeah.
Would you go? Would you go if we did a TWiP adventure to Iceland? Would you go hang out in Reykjavik for a while?
I might. And this might sound very anti, but I feel like so many people have gone to Iceland, and there are so many photographs of Iceland, that I don't want to just go explore other people's tripod holes. I'm really not interested in that. I mean, when I look at shots like this, or the shots that like Kai showed, I mean, like, what am I going to do? I'm just going to go collect my own shot of that same thing. Like, it's already been done.
Yeah.
If there was a unique tour or a place to go see that most people don't get to see, that's what I want to go experience. I'm less interested in going into the ice caves and doing the same thing everybody else does.
But isn't that the challenge though? Like, isn't that the challenge of this kind of stuff, where and I say this as a person that's not a landscape photographer, and have made a very similar statement about landscape, in that, I don't shoot a lot of landscape, even though I live around Yosemite, Napa, San Francisco, etc., because I don't feel like I don't want to put my tripod in someone else's tripod holes, right? And what can you do that's different? But when I look at Iceland, or things like that are so sort of otherworldly and fantastical, my brain goes to, what could I do different there? Like, when I look at the Golden Gate Bridge, I literally my brain sees a bubble that's got dots on every surface of the bubble that has a camera pointing at it, and it's been shot from every conceivable angle, even straight up from underwater, right? So my brain goes, okay, that's hard to do. If I go shoot that, it's going to be for me. It's not going to be really for anyone else.
Right.
But when I think of Iceland, I think, well, what could I do there that is different? Right? What can I do? Or am I going on a Renee Robin mission, and I'm just capturing backgrounds that I'm going to use for compositing later or something? I don't know. It seems different, and maybe I want to go there just to say I went there. So before everything melts.
Look, I don't disagree at all. I mean, I've been to Zion and Moab and all the places, and I've gone to all the places with all the tripod holes, and I've photographed them. Iceland, taking a big trip like that, I don't want to be a tourist.
Yeah.
I just that's the thing, right? Like, if I'm going to go there, I just don't want to be a tourist. I don't want to go to the common places necessarily. I want to go to the uncommon places. Mm-hmm. So you plan a trip to Iceland, and we'll talk about it.
Okay. All right. Yeah. I'm intrigued about Iceland, especially considering that it's the places, or at least Reykjavik, is heated by geothermal energy. They have I love
great.
that. Can you imagine just putting your feet on the ground and just being warm? That would be so nice.
That would be cool.
Until, a seismic event happens. And then you're running like Pompeii. So, oh, man. We have too much fun on these things.
Yeah. Good job, Thomas.
Yeah, good job, Thomas. And welcome to the fray, FNG. Do you know what FNG means, Troy Miller?
I do, but I'm not saying it out loud.
It means fantastic new guy. That's what it means.
Does it? Is it mean fantastic? Are you sure?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Okay.
I'm trying to be clean here. Yeah. No. Just like what was it? What game was that? Was it Doom or one of those games that had the BFG in it? The BFG, yeah, the BFG. Yeah. And then what did Elon Musk name the
BFR?
BFR, yeah. Big fantastic rocket is what it is.
We know what it means.
Yes, we know what it means. But it's more effective to not say it, I think. Much like, shooting models. I think those pictures, in a lot of ways, are more effective when they're not completely naked. Mike Doran says, my submission for the cold theme is from a trip to Yosemite National Park in March of 2017. Yes, I was there in March of 2017. Take a look. Yeah, I didn't get any shots like this, though. That was a different Yosemite.
Great. This is great. It immediately feels cold, so for a topical aspect, this immediately feels cold. And even if you don't recognize where that is, it's cold. The path, the snow, the trees, the waterfall. Yeah, it really is a wonderful image. It's beautiful in black and white. Tilted slightly to the right. Yeah. But,
easily fixable. That's the thing that I would change. So what I love about this image is, it's obviously aiming. All things are sort of pointing towards the falls. Even the trees are kind of pointing gently in that direction. Even the little fence there is pointing to the falls. Everything is pointing to the falls. So with that respect, I think I would have added a little bit more contrast to the falls themselves to make them pop out of there. They feel like they're getting lost in the mountain there, or in the granite. So, just to pop those out just a little bit, bring the values up closer to what the snow is on the foreground to kind of lock it in together, maybe.
No, I agree. I think that the tonal image of this, or the tonality within this image, is a little ill-balanced, and it looks like the right half of the image maybe had some burning done in those trees, like maybe even a little too heavy-handed, where the left side is nice and bright. And I think that we really want the light to draw us down the path to the waterfall, even if you didn't want to make the waterfall your primary subject. Just down the path is where most of the light should be, and then do a little bit of dodging or a little bit of burning on the foreground and lower right corners.
Yeah.
Just to kind of draw us in. Right now, it's easy to leave the frame.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and and rotating it to the left would, the thing that gives it away, other than the vertical rocks in this area right here, that gives away the tilt. The waterfall gives it away a little bit, but I think the distance here between and the distance here automatically make you think that everything is tilted. But so just a slight tilt back to the left.
The image, there would be no waterfall. See?
What do you mean?
See what I did there?
Oh, I see. Because the water would go back the other direction. Gotcha.
Yeah, the water would go back the other way.
See? You see how my demented humor is rubbing off on you? That's how I see the world, man. I was trying to keep it in.
Oh my god.
Good groove. All right. Thank you for that shot, Mike. Thank you. All right. And Michael Rhino is up next. He says, my entry for the cold theme is this photo that was shot at a local state park during sunrise last Sunday morning while this light snow was falling. Oh, you Denver people.
He does sunrise a lot.
Yeah. He's
that's
up early.
He is up early. I love this image for the tree the reflection of the tree,
Mm-hmm.
the birds in the tree. I love all of that. I don't need the whole left half of the image.
I agree. Yep.
And I think it's the tree, crop it tighter, vertical, maybe square, burn around the outside edges. It's all about that tree.
I think you're 100% right. Yeah, like if you crop it, say around right here, or maybe even a little bit tighter. When I see this tree, I see the tree, then I see the reflection, and I go, "Oh, that's interesting." But then I look at these trees off to the right of the big tree, and it looks like they're falling in succession, almost in like an animation. This one's falling a little bit more and more and more, And I think if you crop it, you draw attention to that series of trees even more. And then this one still remains the hero. I love the processing on this. I love the detail that's in the sky, not too much. So it pulls us right on in there. And this is infrared, right?
It's hard to tell. It looks like it could be, but it could also be covered in frost. So it's really hard to tell. I don't see a lot of light in there, so infrared would be a little challenging at this time of day. But there's no blue sky for us to, the sky's not dark or anything, so it's hard to tell. Oh, Michael says it is infrared, so.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's infrared. He also said he has some other ones that he took vertically. He'll take a harder look at that. Yeah, I'd love to see those. That would be fantastic. Yeah, it is infrared. Look at that.
Good. Yeah, and that helps create a different contrast within your subjects than you would have had you shot at color and converted it to black and white. So, but this scene is hard to detect if it was shot infrared or not. So I love that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderfully done.
And you should know, right? That's the whole thing. Like unless it's another photographer or people doing a critique that are questioning the image on its technical merits, the fact that it was shot in infrared should be, it shouldn't be an argument. It should just be the image should stand on its own merits, and people that are looking at it, non-photographers looking at the image, should just see something stunning, and how it was made, it shouldn't matter. So,
right, but we're hyper geeky and nerds, and so we need to know.
We need to know details.
Just like Trevor's asking in the chat, like, you had a body modified. Like, next question. Where'd you get it modified? What modification did you use? Which, Which
software did you use? Are you doing this? That's people inside. These are the cooks that are in the kitchen with the other cook, right? That are looking over his shoulder or her shoulder, saying, "Hey, why'd you put paprika in there?" The people that are eating the food don't care. For the most part, they're just like, "This is delicious," or "It sucks." That's it.
Yeah, and that's the magic of it. Yes, absolutely.
Yep. All right. Let's get out of that guy. Thank you, Michael Rhino. And I believe this is the last one. Yeah, this is the last one.
Yep.
From Craig Stanfley, Hot Chocolate Time.
Nice.
Look at that. Yeah. The ride's over. Or someone fell.
Yeah.
It could be. I've never been on a ski lift like this. Have you ever been on a ski lift?
I have. Yeah, I've skied. Been a long time.
Yeah.
But I've skied. I did not enjoy it. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think I went skiing once in my life, and I was in the military, and a guy that I was stationed with was getting married, and they had this dream of getting married, and at somewhere I forget where it was, but it was one of these ski slopes that was black diamond, and I think we got up there. How did we get up there? I don't think it was a lift. I don't know. So long ago. But it was, I remember we got up there and I got pictures of them on their skis at the top of the hill, and their whole dream was to ski down together on the day of their wedding. So I did that, shot the pictures of them up there, and then they left, and then I'm standing up there like, okay, how
do I get down?
How do I get down? And so another guy up there, he's like, oh yeah, just make little Z's when you go down. Just go left. Go left and right, left. This was a black diamond slope, right? So this was not for, some guy that had never been on skis before. So anyway, long story short, snowmobile came, got me, took me home.
Yeah.
And we had wine next to the fire, and everybody was happy. So it was all good.
That's great. Yeah, that's fun. I'm not a big ski guy. I'm more of a desert dirt bike kind of guy. So I've
Yeah,
skied,
yeah.
but I'd rather photograph it. Um,
I'd
you know,
rather be on a
speaking
snowmobile.
to, yeah, oh yeah, there you go. Speaking to Craig's image, I really love the simplicity of this. I love the fact that I can see the snow. So that's the shutter speed was enough that we could capture the snow. I feel like compositionally though that it needs to be cropped a little bit differently. It's heavy weighted to the right and to the top. And so I really just want to make it the same, crop a little bit of the left off and maybe a little bit of the bottom. I don't need all that space at the bottom to know that this is a ski lift and it's probably up in the air. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
just kind of give it the same distance around all the way around those chairs, and I think that then it'd be perfect.
Yeah. It's fun. I like the atmospherics in here. I'm guessing those are real, Craig. That the snow in there, because you could have easily put that in there. I wonder if he did or not. And even if he did, it looks great. I like it. So,
Yeah, it I would say it would be a really 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 hard thing to put that snow in and make it look that real.
speak for
That would be
yourself.
really challenging. I'm just saying, it's really hard. I didn't say it's impossible. I said it's really hard because there's telltale signs um, of it being real when you zoom in. But it's really hard to say. We can't
Yeah.
trust anything anymore. We
You
don't
can't.
know.
You can't. Yeah, I think someone with compositing chops like a Renee Robin or somebody like that could put atmospherics or snow in here that looked completely realistic, and you would not know. The master or the mistress of blending modes is who she is.
Yeah,
Done.
but it would be hard. Yeah, it'd be challenging. Yeah, but it's nice. I mean, it's a really nice image, and I love the simplicity, and I love the chairs hanging there empty. They're kind of facing each other, even though they're going different directions. The horizontal lines of the cables. There's a lot going on in there.
Yeah. Very cool shot. I love it. Love it. Cool. All right. Well, that's the end here. What are your? Well, we got to pick the favorite. You know what I was thinking? I think I posted this at some point. I think it was in TWiP, but it was about because of all this AI stuff and how everything's just increasingly becoming questionable whether it's real or not, especially if we see something that's an exceptional image. The unfortunate side of that is we look at it and we're like, was that real? Did you put that in there? And I don't know how to get around that. I don't know if we'll ever get around that, even if we popularize the hashtag as shot. Like we were talking. I think it was Steven. I was having that dialogue with, but. Does it matter? Like, what do you think about that? The fact that we've got Luminar and Adobe with Sensei and all these different tools that are coming up that make it easier to create a realistic looking image that wasn't there to begin with. Does it matter if it's not photojournalism that you be transparent about the fact that it was manipulated?
It it's a big challenge. It's a challenging question, and we're facing that right now with our local photography groups because we do a photography competition, and so it's all about how you present the image. I think it's if you just want to do pure art, then it doesn't matter. But if you're going to present an image and you're going to present it in a way that people assume that it's a natural capture, then it's a little bit disingenuous. It's a more convincing lie.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with whatever that art is. Like build it however you want to build it. That's great. Push those boundaries, right? Use all the tools. But if you show me a landscape and there's like 6 lightning strikes and you tell me, "Oh, look at this image that I captured over Seattle." You're leading me to believe that you captured all those photons in that manner.
Right.
And being a photographer or being anybody, I'm going to be really skeptical that you got 6 lightning strikes or that those clouds were in that place at that right moment or that moon was just behind that that lighthouse just so.
Right.
And it's a problem for both sides. It's a problem for the side that just wants to create art, and then because then they feel that they're being disingenuous maybe. But it's also a problem for the person who spends a year planning that moonrise, because now you don't.
Right. Yeah, it takes the wind out of his sails or her
Right.
sails on all that work that it took to do that. But at the same time, it's like, it's so many. This is like a deep conversation because there's so many different angles you could approach it from. Because on the one hand, you think like if we go back to that chef in the kitchen analogy, it's who cares, right? If who cares if you use the microwave or if you did it the old-fashioned way in a Franklin stove, and if I can't tell the difference on the plate, does it matter how it got there? Except to other chefs, other chefs that say, "Oh, you cheated because you used the microwave." Right? And is it cheating? It's a tool, right? I don't know. What do you think?
Let's look at it from a different perspective. What if the menu says, the best cut of meat, well, you're assuming a fillet or a porterhouse or something, but what if it's not? There's a little bit of frustration that comes when you learn the truth, and then that's bad for everybody on both sides. So I really sort of come down on the fact that it's about being genuine. If it's a composite and you use art and you composited these things, don't hide from that, because that skill set is amazing as it is. Yeah. If we look at like Renee Robin and some of the things that she's composited and she's built, the skill that it took to build that and tell that story, that's just as amazing as somebody who would have captured it in real life.
Yeah.
And so be just that. There was a time when I was following, this is years ago, but on Facebook, we were following all of these people that were posting lightning images. And that's why I think of that. And the whole thing was just like, is this all in a single capture? And they would get really offended that we would ask that.
Yeah.
Mostly because it wasn't.
They got caught. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like that group that was looking at those lightning images are photographers, right? And people who care about the technical stuff behind it. But if, Jane Doe, who wants a big lightning picture behind the couch in the living room, and she sees that right, and is just blown away that this person made this shot and doesn't really care much about how genuine it was, who are we to say? Yeah, who are we to say that no, you shouldn't hang that picture, Jane, behind your couch, because in reality, there's only one lightning strike. There wasn't three, right?
Yeah, and there's no pure image. There's no pure unmanipulated image in the digital era at all. Nope. Because some engineer decided how the colors are going to be rendered in your camera, and there's all this conversion that's happening. Like, everything's manipulated. Everything.
Yeah. I would argue in the film era as well, right? You're making ISO choices. Yeah. You're making, a lot. You're making ISO choices. You're making lens choices, right? You're making format of the image or of the film. Is it going to be 4x5 or 120 or 35 millimeter? You're making choices in the darkroom as to what the chemistry is and how that chemistry will interact with the halides on the film. You're making exposure decisions. You're making paper decisions on what is it going to be, matte, glossy, or you make decisions the entire length of the way. There's no such thing as an image that is exactly true to life. And even if there were, go back to biology, we all have different rods and cones in our eyes, so we all perceive things differently, right? So we're chasing the last pea on the plate with a spoon. You're never going to catch it unless,
Right. Yep. No, I agree. It's a big conversation, and we're challenging with it because of our photographic competitions, and we're trying to figure out a way to define it in that if somebody enters an image of, let's say, a landscape. Let's say it's a wedding photo and it's a big sky and this little couple and they're walking on the beach, and somebody drops in a new sky and it completely changes the mood of the image. If it's 80% of the image, is that legal? Is that legit? Should we allow that in a photographic competition?
Right.
Because it wasn't photographed, it was built.
And I think the rules need to change. I think the rule before, I think it's the rules need to evolve again, right? So before it was, if this photo has been manipulated in any way, it's not true to blah 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 blah. But all that's blurring, right? With
It is. It
the
is. Yeah.
hardware that and the computational photography, these things. Are you going to tell me if I shoot something with this that does like 20 years worth of math at the click of at the click of the shutter button to give me a great image? So that means these, or are you discriminating against carbon-based life forms? So only AIs can manipulate images and humans cannot. I don't know.
These are legit topics that I think that we need to define sort of universal parameters and terms that we all understand and feel good with, so that when we look at an image and somebody says, "Oh, look at what I captured on my trip to Sedona," there's a perception. Captured means that's what you captured,
Right. That's the distinction,
or
maybe. Yeah.
here's my image. What is an image? A painting's not an image. Does that include illustration? Like, we've never really defined that. We know what an illustration is. If somebody says, "Here's an image I illustrated," or "Here's a composite," we know very clearly what that is. So we don't really have universal terms to define that. And that's where, like in the competition era, because it's a very controlled environment, we're trying to figure out how to define that.
Yeah.
So that everybody gets credit for what they do. I want the composite artist to get credit for adding snow, but I also want the other person who hunted and captured that image to get credit for what they did. You know, time of day, and the moon at the right phase, and you deserve credit for that.
Well, do you though? Because that's self-imposed. I think you do, but I'm devil's advocate, because that's self-imposed sort of flogging, right? So if you can get to a destination and you love, part of your process is it's like the ship in the bottle. Yeah, you could go buy a ship, but you want to, after work, you want to meticulously build a ship in a bottle using these tools, and it's just part of your thing. You like the meticulousness, and you find pride in executing something that was really hard to do, and you did it to excellence. That's internal though, right? So if that's your process, fine, but you can't, if the guy next to you uses a plugin that he bought for $30 and does the same thing, and the end result is indistinguishable to a layperson, photographer, or consumer of the imagery, who's right and who's wrong, right? You're both right, because this guy on the right just wanted to make the image best way you knew how. This guy wanted to take the long way around, but they ended up at the same spot. Who cares, right? It shouldn't matter.
Right. And it only matters to the person, or in the context that the image is being viewed. And I think that's where it matters. So, like, I have a moonrise over Mono Lake that I went. Now, I'm a big fan of this idea that if I can drop it in later, I'm not going to go photograph it. I'm not going to go hunt it and photograph it. Like, if I want the moon to be above that building, I'll just put it in. I'm not going to, like, if there's nothing super hard and special about it, I'm not going to do that, right? I'm also not going to tell you that I captured it that way. But over Mono Lake, I wanted the reflection. I can't fake a reflection. I don't have the skill.
Today. This year you will be able to.
Accurately. Now, there's a lot of things you can't do. And so, to me, that's worth it. So when I show that image, that's in camera. That's how I captured it. That'll matter to an art director, a collector. They care.
Yeah,
some of them care that it was captured that way, right? I've got a friend of mine, Don Herzler, that lives in Hawaii. He runs a gallery. He sells a lot of. It's called Lava Light Galleries. He sells a lot of lava.
He's been on,
and
TWiP?
It's important. I don't know if he has.
He has been on TWiP.
He's a good guy.
And you introduced us. Yes. Talk about volcano photography. Yes.
Yeah. But
or lava flow.
When you see his images and you see that lava, to know that he was really there, I think makes that image more impressive.
I agree.
I do. I think that I think that helps sell. I think that helps him sell.
Yeah.
Use it to your benefit.
We will continue this conversation. We got to end the stream though. We need to pick a favorite. We need to pick a favorite, and you need to tell us what the next critique topic is. So I have my favorite on the screen. So yours doesn't matter, is what I'm saying. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, okay.
No, I know what your favorite is. We have the same favorite. I'm pretty sure it's this one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just so beautiful. So well done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I just got to say, it's, this is Kai's style. And I love his style, simplicity and just minimalism. So, yeah, that's definitely my favorite.
Yeah. I love this shot.
Well done, Kai.
This may end up on my desktop as a background for a couple of days.
Yeah.
That's the ultimate compliment of another photographer can pay to you, is putting your image on his or her background for a specified amount of time. All right, cool. So what's next? What's our next topic?
The next topic is open. So it's an open category. So you have the freedom to create whatever you like.
Ooh, this should be good.
Yeah.
This should be good.
Yeah. And
right.
A little teaser, the following topic is pop art. And
explain that. Explain that. Come on, give us some context here. Pop art. I think bright colors and solarized images and stuff like that.
Pop art can be so many different things. And I don't really want to over define it for anybody, but it's a very simple, bold style. And one of the reasons that I picked pop art was because it's such a vast definition. And I really just want to see what people do with it. Not putting up constraints, but.
So I went to Pinterest and I typed in pop art, and this is what she told me. So
there's a lot of that. Yeah.
This is where my brain goes for pop art. I think I literally thought of this shot right here. This Andy Warhol. The donuts. Yeah. Oh, this should be cool.
Is a style of art based on simple, bold images of everyday items.
Nice. So, all right. There you go.
Yeah, we'll see. I know we have a very creative community, so we'll see what they do with it.
Yeah. So if you want to get some ideas for your pop art, just go over to Pinterest and type pop art, and boom,
pop art.
There you go.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah,
love it.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, we'll leave it right there. I got to jump off, and yeah, folks, we'll see you guys next week. This time, hopefully, I'll have all these. No, I won't have all these tech issues worked out because they keep coming up. And I'm in this constant state of evolution. I'm changing my setup, which introduces more issues and complexity. So we'll do the best we can, but we'll be here regardless. So a week from today, show up with your pop art. Or sorry, no, the one after is pop art. Show up next week with whatever you want, which could be pop art, right? Open. So it's open. So.
Yeah, test it out. See how it goes.
Yeah, why not? Cool. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for sticking with us and moving over to Twitch after the Ecamm Live disaster driven by Frederick over on YouTube. But yeah, like I said, we'll get that sorted, and we will see you guys. Hopefully, we're gonna try to do a test kind of summit event this week, maybe tomorrow, but you guys will get an invite to that. If not, if we don't see you at that thing, we will definitely, hopefully, see you all Friday at 6 p.m. U.S. Pacific time for our member mixer. And with that, any final thoughts there, Troy, before we end this one?
No, just enjoy the day, right? Enjoy your today and make a positive impact as you move through your day, through your week, through your month. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's a lot of challenging things happening, and be positive.
Yep. And you folks that are outside the U.S. watching this, please wish us luck. and we'll talk about it a little bit on Friday, how everything turned out and went down. Yeah. So
yeah, we definitely will.
Hopefully, if the grid is still up, we'll talk about it. So, All right. All right, everybody. We'll see you in a little bit. We'll see you in a couple days or at the end of the week. And we'll go from there. Everybody have a fantastic week. Go take some photos, enjoy yourself, take some pictures in a genre that you haven't explored before, and learn some stuff. Or get on YouTube and get inspired by videos and stuff, people that are doing stuff over there. Or jump in the community and start up a dialogue. And, hang out with people that love the stuff that you love. And with that, we will take that lens cap off. All right, everybody. Take care. This is TWiP.